Click the links for the alternative video platforms or support the channel anonymously with your crypto or using Coffee or the other links. Trump's Pravda. It's probably going to be dead on arrival. America needs a based site to save it. That is Gab, Telegram, maybe Discord. Trump is a normie. He's not going to have a free speech site. He can't. The media would use every crooked cross as evidence of something that he endorses. And yeah, that, as well as the hammer and sickle, are a part of the free exchange of ideas. Keeping it 100 with you, Trump's time has come and gone. He turned out to be a paper tiger. Sure, he was the better option, but a douchebag is still a douchebag. And yeah, he was better than Hillary or Biden, for sure. Unless you're an accelerationist, then, anything goes. But if you weren't, you looked at Hillary and you're like, oh, she's insane. She's as close to an Alex Jones lizard person as can be. Anyway, so an alt Twitter that doesn't have free speech is pointless. All it will do is get Getter and Parler out of business. Those are they're on the app stores, or I guess roughly analogous to Twitter, with less censorship, but they're still going through Google and Apple, as 90% of app traffic does. And back in my day, we didn't have app stores. We downloaded stuff from websites. We virus scanned it. We spyware scanned it. Malware scanned it. And then we installed it ourselves. And usually they're like reputable sites. And that was that. But nowadays people are using the phone. So they're like, there's less computing in computing. Like a phone is like a computer that's where most of the stuff is already done for you. It's going to put those two companies, Getter and Parler, out of business, which is fine. They were absolutely useless. But a Trump site without free speech is pointless. We have a free political speech site. It's called Gab. The only thing not allowed on Gab is prurient content, which nobody cares about anyway. There's very little value to that kind of speech. But all political speech is allowed, from the crooked cross types to the hammer and sickle types. You're allowed to talk about the hottest of hot button issues. I can guarantee right now that that will not be the case on Trump's site. So what's the point? It's just going to be a MAGA echo chamber, which, the time has come and gone. There's no getting behind Trump. Is like, well, you're focusing on a guy who... it's like focusing on the good, it's not even the good, and letting the best go by. It's like he's I don't know how good he is. Focusing on him is like his time was about 20, 30, 40 years ago. We need somebody way more based. And I don't know if they're out there, but we're not going to go look for this guy and find him if Trump is still on the radar, if you know what I'm saying. He takes up a big part of your brain power is for the MAGA crowds focusing on Trump and like getting them to realize he's not going to do anything. Is he better than Biden? Oh, well, yeah, who wouldn't be better than Biden? You've seen his town hall meetings. It's elder abuse to have him up there. Yeah, sure, Trump knows what he's doing. He's better than Biden, but Trump he's a moderate. I know the left-wing people call him Nazis, and the people on the right hate him because he's not a Nazi, and a Nazi would probably be able to run a tighter ship than Trump. Anyway, so being politically correct is what got us here. It's time to put political correctness aside and actually address the very real issues that are plaguing America. It's funny, one of the only people on the right who was holding Trump accountable all 4 years, and even now, is Ann Coulter. She just lays it out as it is, and like Trump got in office, and she goes, "Oh, you're gonna build that fence now? You're gonna prosecute Hillary?" And his followers, "Oh, give him time. Maybe he'll do it in the second term." She's like, "Yeah, a year's gone by and you haven't worked on that fence. Really? Wasn't that one of your campaign promises to do these things? But you have to come legally." Yeah, genocide by legal demographic replacement is so much better than by illegal demographic replacement. How do MAGA normies, like, how do they not see this? Like, there's a time to put aside political correctness, and that time was about 50 years ago. But the next best time is now. So, dear MAGA, Trump is not your guy. Nobody at that level of wealth is likely to be your guy. I'm not saying it's impossible. To do what needs to be done would require Trump to risk everything. That is not likely for a billionaire. And let's be real. Trump is not a guy to look up to. He's just a shallow shadow man, like almost all politicians. The only way to know if a politician is a real one is usually if they have a military background, because then they did things that mattered and their men will speak well of them or poorly, but they will have already been put through that crucible to test their resilience. And I don't think any politician in the past, since Eisenhower, has had that sort of status. I know the first Bush was Air Force Reserves, but it's not the same thing. It's like you want somebody who's like been in the trenches, so to speak. And anyway, so we really should have put more value on combat experience. Our politicians in the past 50 years have been nothing to be proud of. I mean, they've been just the smarmiest of politicians, even our guys as well as their guys. To think that the scum of the earth like Biden, Harris, Trump, the Clintons, Obama, like Kamala Harris, God, I think she's losing her mind. Bushes have all been at the helm, should tell you that they're nothing more than puppets. Useful idiots at a high level, but still useful idiots. Which sort of implies a puppet master off camera pulling their strings. Plot twists, it's usually a banker. Turns out nations don't run themselves. Bankers run them. Money runs them. I mean, this has been going on for thousands of years. And these bankers run the world. Their goal is to lower the in-group preferences and trust of the nations and turn them into commercial, diverse zones so the media can keep people fighting each other and distract the people from what they're up to. For example, an Englishman won't fight to save England if there's no England left to fight for. Oh, congratulations, Englishmen. In London, you're now a minority in London. The real English are a minority in London. Isn't that vibrant diversity great? No, because if it was, the third world would be the first world. Third world is the third world because third world people made the third world. That's not rocket science. I mean, you've got a situation when, it's funny to say that in the UK would probably not be allowed. I think some bit sheets are banned overseas, so I don't know if they can use Odysee or what. You got to have something worth fighting for. I mean, you got a situation where Germany and France are both equally diverse, then there isn't really a Germany or France left. And if they're both controlled by bankers and NGOs and big tech, then you may as well just open the borders because there's nothing to preserve. They're not nations because nations are tribal. They are of the blood. In 100 years, Europe, America, Canada, Australia will be pure economic zones ruled by a Soros or a Rothschild descendant. I'm thinking, it's got to be weird to be a Soros or Rothschilds and realize, you're looking to the future and realize your clan is probably going to be around, 300 years from now and still in power. That's a longevity that most people just don't consider. There are systems of power and power structures in place, and these people will do anything to maintain that power. Anything. You talk about body counts following Hillary. Yeah, absolutely. And, honestly, if you're in that position, you're probably doing the same thing. For example, the Rothschilds' marriage into the Hiltons, or Kushner joining the Trumps, or if you look at all the leaders, American presidents, their kids, look who they married. Yeah, they all married globalists. They all married that 2% of the population. What a weird coincidence that is. These people think in thousands of years. Most people don't even think of 2 generations. I mean, there's some people who are not even thinking of the day. A country that isn't careful will see itself slowly subverted by these, I guess you could say parasites is a good word for them. You can't beat them unless you write in the danger of them into your constitution, or you'd have to have some constitutional monarchy or something. I mean, you would have to be more base than base. You would have to get rid of political correctness, autistically get rid of it and be whatever you had to be to warn future generations of the problems of the bankers, the Martin Luther's writings, the Henry Ford. You would need to make it a religion of fighting these kind of human reptilian people, demons. How to explain that? And you might need an ethnic dynasty, and of course you'd have to run your own banks and media, or at least have your tribe run the banks and media. Having foreigners run the banks is insane. Then, as now, there are concepts as placeholders for money, property, or whatever. Like if Europe got together with the United States, Canada, Australia, and just said, yeah, we're going to take the banks. We're just going to get rid of the people and put our own people in place. They could do it. I mean, you got the numbers. You could absolutely do it. It wouldn't even take a war to do it. Like if you really wanted to do it, you could do it. Money is just digital zeros or paper. It's just, it's just a concept. But a diverse country like the bankers are trying to do, they're trying to turn all white countries, areas into diverse countries. Well, there's nothing left to fight for. You're just a commercial zone. That's why, I make videos and the black stuff that deals with black issues get a lot of views and a lot of donations. But it's like, that's not, those are fun videos to make every few months. That's not the core issue. It's like, it's the puppet master who's got the white and the black and he says, fight, going and fight. It's like, it's the puppet master who's pulling the strings. That's the bigger issue. It's why I make so many videos on this kind of stuff. My point is, at some level of wealth, the wealthy are so closely tied to the bankers that they are globalists themselves, because they want to preserve future generations, like the Hiltons. Hiltons would be a very rich clan. I don't know what they're worth, but they're, by ordinary standards, very wealthy. And the Rothschilds are as wealthy as far as money has a meaning. Somebody like Soros and the Rothschilds have money and power. And, as a nation, it's like the far left and the far right can come together and say, yeah, we don't want people who've got the global resources held up in individuals' hands, because their effect, money is power, money is speech. It's too much power to concentrate in one person's hands. It should be concentrated in a nation's hands, but only a nation of one tribe, like not a commercial zone, because otherwise you just it's like if you want to bust up a union, you have a diverse workforce, because if you got Spanish, Irish, Italians all working together, they're too busy. They don't trust each other. And that's what these globalist bankers are doing to nations. And stopping it. What do you think I'm doing what I'm doing for like $3 a video? And it's so important. And it's like, it's just going to take hundreds of years, or it could take a World War III tomorrow. But it's like, it's a step it's a journey that has to be started immediately. Trump is not a nationalist. He doesn't use his money to support his tribe. No, Virginia, there is no civic nationalism. There's no magic soil. There is only the tribe, your greater family of Europe, the pan-European movement. The bankers have been working to destroy Europe with diversity for a long time. Thousands of years. And since World War II, they have finally got Europe and America to the point of no return in terms of demographics. America is a Mexican majority in a few years. It would take a civil war to get America back on track. And, the bread and circuses concepts, it's like really hard to make fat people fight a war. And like by the time the war is, here's the thing I was thinking the other night, the people who know what is necessary are all 40 to 50 years old or older. And they're, 40 to 50 pounds overweight. But they know, like they look at the future and they go, oh shit, this has to be done. But it's like, they're too old to do it. Anyway, the best we can hope for is to wake people up. And as for Europe, they've been so cucked and brainwashed by socialism and feminism. I don't know. There were some guys in Europe who are waking up. Anyway, like, comment, subscribe. I'll see you guys on all platforms. Support the channel through Coffee, PayPal, or through anonymously through crypto, or through Odysee. They use the library token, which I guess is just as another crypto. And thanks for the donations. I'll see you guys next episode.